to plan and prepare. We had all of our job descriptions there, who was gonna handle what, who was gonna do what. And this storm, it happened. So you have to.
I know it happened, but I think.
No, but that's what I'm saying is that
It was
with
there.
all of us out on the road, it was very difficult to have that type of planning session and that type of one person handling the call.
Just think
No,
back
but
to
I
some
think-
of the
I think
other
it was
storms we've had
forecasted.
with the river coming up and over to, in Martin's Pond area and things of that, you just think back to,
Yeah.
to distant past, are we in better shape now than we were, communication,
think so.
I mean, I thought everything was handled.
I just think that
Well.
this was forecast to be what it was.
And
A
guess
couple of
what?
days in advance.
And they got it right. I have
Oh,
actually,
so, no, I know, but
I've
aren't
act-
you better off?
Yes.
Aren't you better off being prepared and nothing happened?
And-
Sort of like the
and-
hurricane.
and
Everything was
truthfully-
prepared, but it wasn't as bad as,
and truthfully,
Yeah,
I think the departments were prepared.
no, I know, but I, from where I sit, I just think it would have been better if the EOS was set up and that there was information directed to one person was coordinating it, and the information was filtering down.
That's a separate issue, though. That's a
Yeah.
procedure that we're talking about now. That was.
No, but you
that's
had
not
it in place for the hurricane, and it worked that way. I understand it was mobilized, because the two chiefs were,
Yeah,
on
we
duty
had
working.
a room full of
Dick-
people there, and.
but like what Chief Warnick had indicated, if, because of these fires responding to one location, they leave, now police are responding to that location, if you do have that centralized person who's monitoring that on radio, you can divert police if they're the second in line. Oh, we've already gone there. You don't have to go there. I think it makes sense. And I think
Also, that was really directed towards Reading Light as well, making 2 or 3 phone calls to the same address.
that- no, it's-
It would seem to me the right place for that is somewhere where there's dispatch, and maybe during those kinds of emergencies, bringing the dispatch of both police and fire into
The truth is it
one zone.
could have been Chief Murphy sitting at the 911 center, keeping track of that.
And I never really talked to him about this until he just brought it up, but I did have conversation with his dispatcher, so there really wasn't much overlapping. I was listening to what he had to say, because I certainly didn't wanna make all those calls, I had enough going on. So, there was some overlap, I'm sure, but not as much. And I think that the EOC, in hindsight, probably would have been the best thing to do, but I would not have had time to go in there every 2 minutes and tell him what I needed. So it flowed well this time, and I think that adding that aspect of it, I think would have complicated what we had, because it was, when I had 10 911 calls going on at the same time, I had enough, we had enough guys to field it, but we dispatch, it's time sensitive, there's so much information we need to, I wouldn't have been able to get to what he had to, it would have been all after the fact.
Yeah.
But
Same as
it
that.
certainly probably would have helped at some aspects of it.
The-
But I don't know.
Yeah, there's 3 categories here. There's information in, there's information internally, and then there's information out. Okay? Is our concern, is the information out being communicated to the people, or is your concern, most people they're gonna call either the police department or the fire department. That's the only truth they're going to call. They shouldn't be calling us, because we don't have that information. Our information is
I
always gonna
disagree with that.
be after the fact. We're not part of the solution, they're the solution right there.
But I think people, if they're out of power, have a little hesitance about calling fire or police, because they don't wanna bother them. It's not
Well,
technically an
and-
emergency situation.
MLD,
I think
I
they're
left
more
them
apt to
out, yeah.
call us. What information are you getting? Do you know how long we're gonna be out, and so forth? So that's where
Well,
I disagree with you there.
I think that, first of all, I thought they did a superb job.
Of course they did.
Oh, yeah.
Number one. 2 is that I think if there's any improvements on what was to be done, it's up to them to come up with recommendations.
Yeah.
And if it requires resources, spending money, then they have to come to us and make a case for it.
Right.
But, I think that we've had 2 good incidences, bad incidences this year, where they've gained a lot of experience on what went right, what went wrong, and,
Can we
they're
just set them
professionals, and I hope, they deal with those issues. I do have a question, though, and maybe it's more of a Reading Light question, but on Park Street, where the tree had fallen in the lane, and it was there, I did get a couple calls on that, and it was there for a long period of time. And I know that when I talked,
The problem was there were 2 trees fell on Park Street. Electric light fixed the first one, And when we were calling about Park Street, they said it's already done. So that was
So it was a communication issue rather than,
well, they had so many calls. I mean, Park Street,
Actually, it's a long
But
street.
the one at Park
But-
and Gould, I mean, I was heading off at 6:30 in the morning and then flew out of town, and I got a call down in DC at, 6:30 at night, that it was still down from a resident.
Right.
How come? I thought we would do better, and I
Wasn't
I
removed
texted
until
Greg,
Tuesday.
but,
that was blocking a complete
Major
lane of
thoroughfare.
traffic on a major road, and it seemed like it was taking a long, long time for response. Not, I talked to you, and I know what you were
Here.
waiting for.
Electrical Light told me their priorities were to get people back on power, not necessarily open up travel lanes. So we have a coordination issue to work with them about certain things that they're not their priorities, but it's our priorities, and it's our job to work with them to
in
avoid
that
this in the future.
specific instance, I was absolutely surprised that it
In
had
the
taken
wake-
that long.
It
I
was a
would-
main
I would
drag.
think
It
the
wasn't a
police would've
side
weighed
street.
in, Fire would've weighed in.
And I
This is
think-
a lesson learned, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get together with Reading Electric and hammer out some details, discussing what
But
wasn't
I only
as
have
perfect.
one constructive criticism about it, though. It's fine that it's down, and I can understand because you had wires, there's probably limitations on your part. But we had 3 little cones out, okay?
Or 2.
I think there's gotta be coordination maybe between the police department and the DPW to get some flashing lights out there. It's a dark area because there was no electricity. And then to have 3 little cones, that was a very dangerous situation. And I
We
would,
don't really have a lot of barrier materials. And
Well, then we
don't have
probably need to-
people to put them up.
Yeah.
We're all reacting.
I
It's
think
kinda-
that, if I could just chime in, that was a miscommunication, and what happened was Sunday night, there was a tree down. That was removed, and I think that the second tree went down, Reading Light assumed that we were speaking of the first tree, so that was clearly a communication issue. When I got notified of it, I called and we put a priority, and Reading Light came right down, DPW came right out, and it was done within a half an hour, so it was clearly an issue of miscommunication.
It was, that tree was down Sunday. It didn't get removed until Tuesday sometime around noon or a little after.
Which tree are you talking about?
No.
Park and Gould.
Tuesday.
Park and
Park,
Gould.
between Gould and Damon, that tree didn't get removed until Tuesday.
yeah.
Yeah, but there was 2 trees right in the same location. One of them came down and pulled the pole down, which loosened up the other pole. Second tree came down, and it was leaning on the wires, and I agree with you. It's
This tree
unacceptable.
was down on
This
the
tree was
road.
down,
It was on the road. It was
blocked that whole
unacceptable.
westbound lane of
On the road
traffic.
Monday morning.
And when I left that day, Reading Light was on their way out there to take care of it again, and they didn't get out there until I got notified again during rush hour, and it was, we were tied up on other calls, so we couldn't babysit that area, but, it was clearly should have been removed during the daytime, and it didn't, so.
Yeah, it was the way I saw it, was a Reading light issue. The only thing as Michael had said,
And
the
they
2
killed-
small cones,
No,
there
it
should have
wasn't.
been barrels out there, something with, or one of those horses
The only
with
reason
flashing
why
lights or
the
something.
traffic actually didn't create a total crisis was the fact that the red light on 28, stopped traffic coming down towards 62 enough of the time so that the people that built up on the outgoing
I was just
had an
surprised
opportunity to
that
get by.
that particular location could stay in the condition that it was in for so long. And
I think there was one.
have it to be deemed acceptable. I mean, even for us to say, finally, Reading Light, get
No,
back
it
over here,
wasn't.
get this
Well,
out of
that's
here.
one of the things
You
we're
know, so
going
I
to
mean-
work on. This is what we learned.
But that was the only, I mean,
Public safety should come first before each individual house is lit up. That's, their priority is to get all the lights on, and ours is public safety. We
Well,
want the roads
I
to be
guess I
clear.
heard an explanation of what happened, and it
Well,
was that, it wasn't that people didn't try to get it removed, they thought they had already
Okay.
removed it,
Yeah,
so.
I'm concerned though with the response I got, okay? Dick just said, it was there for 3 days, and he didn't have staff to go put signs out there to warn people of being there. Well, that's an issue then, we gotta get that fixed.
It wasn't 3 days out there?
Sunday to Tuesday. Went
I
down
drove by
Sunday,
there
2 full days.
and it came down, it
I mean,
wasn't
Dick, if
removed
you
till
have an
Tuesday.
issue with, over a 2-day period, to get somebody to go down and throw down some,
That's what you said. We
some,
don't have any flashing signs. We have cones and some sawhorses. We don't have
I think he
barrels
misunderstood
with
what he
flashing,
said.
we don't have that equipment. Never have
okay.
it.
Um,
I mean, it'd be great to have it, but we just don't have it.
Well, we need it. Well, we need at least some limit, because you even had a couple streets that were completely blocked off, like Marblehead. But you had to drive all the way down Marblehead to see that it was blocked off, to turn all the way around and go back. So, are you telling me we don't have signs, DPW doesn't have signs that says, road's blocked? I've seen them before in town,
No,
orange.
I was able to setting up the sign for Marblehead. Every one of our people out moving trees. We We didn't physically have people to
Okay,
break away and
and
cut trees down.
That's
to
why I
do that.
brought it back up again, because there's a priority problem. Because to me, that, getting us a marking out on those locations is a priority than getting a tree out of the middle of a sidewalk or off of somebody's yard or whatever it may be. This is a heavily trafficked area.
Mike, we weren't, the first 2 days we were taking stuff out of the travel way. We weren't cleaning up little stuff. It was pretty overwhelming the first couple of days.
I understand, but we're talking 2 days on a major road with no markings. We don't need to debate it. The thing is, let's take the lesson learned from it. And if you don't have the equipment or the resource you need.
What do you need?
Then you need to talk to your boss and get you some money to get you the right signs and things like that will help public safety. Because I agree, you can't get out there and move that tree out of there because you're overwhelmed. But at least maybe the police department can swing by, or even Billy's guys can swing by and grab a couple signs and throw them out there on their way by to another call. I mean, we can all help each other out, right? I mean, I think you guys do a pretty good job of it. And I only say it because I drove by there and you could see my truck. I'm coming by, it was dark, another car wouldn't even give me enough room. I moved over, ran over the little cone, scratched the whole side of my truck, because I can see one branch sticking out.
Oh, he's gonna put a claim in. There we go.
Damn right.
See it
No,
coming now.
But it's a good example. It's a good example. And
You should have
I
waited.
think there was
should have
one-
had
am I
better
correct?
things than
There
the
was
little
one-
cone.
Incident between two motorists down in that area?
Oh, on Marlborough Street, yeah.
No.
Oh,
On Parkview,
yeah,
Damon and
we
Gould.
had a,
There was a
yeah,
little
we had an
incident down there.
incident, road rage incident.
Yeah.
Verbal only, and like I said, that, internally even as well, there shouldn't have been, that wasn't passable, as far as I
No.
was concerned.
Oh, it took
And-
up the whole westbound lane of travel.
Yeah, and it was just, I think that even our officers were on the understanding the running light was coming down. And we had to do that in a lot of different areas,
Yeah.
but that was a street that it was during rush hour, was just too busy, and we, concerned about it, traffic accident.
It's one of the most heavily traveled roads
Yeah.
in town.
So just a couple markings, and like I said, Dick, I'll support whatever we have to do to get you what you need. I know it's not, to me, it's not a resource, individual resource problem, it's you don't have the right tools to get out there to mark those areas. And so that's something I think is very easy to get fixed.
Down above and beyond that, when we talked to Reading Light about communications, that one little area, obviously, that there was a miscommunication. If that's all there was.
If you'd seen the
during this
initial
whole-
list I didn't send out to you, it was literally a handwritten scratch thing. It
Yeah.
was pretty crude. Towards the second day, it got pretty sophisticated. They actually had street
Yeah,
addresses.
yeah.
So again, at that initial period of time,
It was triage.
there was a lot of very, it's on this street about here. Got relatively vague information, and it tightened up quite a bit right afterwards.
Can we task Chief Murphy to go out and at least do the research and provide something back to the board in the next 3 weeks or so on this 9/11 or the 9/11 or the, what did you call it?
Reverse
Reverse
911.
911. We'll call it reverse 911,
Okay.
but there's several companies that have similar
On
programs.
something, because we've been talking about it for over a year.
I would suggest that he work with his boss, and then at some point, Greg come back and present to the board recommendations. I mean,
I don't care who comes
he can
back to
bring
the board.
everybody with him, I don't
But
care. but-
we need to get something back here, because the winter's coming, and we're gonna run into this again relatively soon. So we meet again in
First meeting
November,
in-
but maybe the
first
first
meeting in
week in
December.
December.
Hopefully, we're not gonna run into this again.
Well, I think we gotta be prepared for, we will, at some point.
Historically, we will.
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't- can we
I'm
set
talking
a-
about, give us a break for a few months.
I'm good with deadlines, I'm better with
December
deadlines.
5th, can we, no, maybe?
I just don't know if the vendor will get back to me in that time period. I know we can get one vendor to it, but I'd like to have at least 3 that we could compare, come up with. the
Well, we'll
best
should for
figure.
that, and if you don't have it by that
Yeah,
point, then
we can push it to the
proceed.
next one. It's nothing hard and fast.
There's one key piece to, the software is easy to get, but we need your support to get people to give us their numbers.
Yeah, that's fine.
They
That's,
just populate it with a Verizon
and that-
phone number.
we can
but
do that.
Who here routinely uses their house phone versus a cell phone? Unless we have those cell phones and email addresses in that system, you can't get to
Yeah,
it.
I think that's the
What
next,
we would
that'll
do
be the
is we
following
would-
step.
We would
yeah.
advertise and offer people the opportunity to.
And then you should be able to go to our town website, click on that link, there's your application, you fill it out, you submit it. It should be that easy.
One of those softwares has a similar
Yeah.
thing like that. You choose to fill out, and you choose to what I want notifications for.
Right, you could get 5
Send it in
different
12
phones, I
different
think.
phones.
It would help if we
We
had people
already
with special
have on
needs
the
too, they could
website
also fill in
the
the same thing.
opportunity to put in notifications for various things that go on,
Yeah.
correct, Greg?
We actually are the 5 of us sat down and we thought about ideas in terms of how we could do this. And there's many ideas in terms of how we can get people, we can